That's the life of prospect. All right, let's finish up here for behind the keyboard. Logan. So Mike and I were having a little bit of a conversation about the state of sports writing specifically. Um, the trend the last few years. I'm just kind of summarizing my own kind of point, not our conversation. Is it seems like sports writing the focus has gotten on shorter, faster, more. Mm, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just say like immediate. Um, I know misleading is probably too strong a word, but it seems like that is the way that writing in particular has
I
gone.
believe it's called snackable in the
Snackable.
industry.
There you go. There you go. That could be the case.
If I had a
The irony though
dollar or
is that
a
this type of writing is the type of writing that is probably at the greatest risk from our AI overlords. And as more and more AI content starts to pervade the internet, I don't know what the future is for that type of sports writing. So, kind of the question I pose for you guys in our behind the keyboard is, what do you see as the future of sports writing? And it can be, I want to get your thoughts, not necessarily the same time, but before we sign off, both on what you think it realistically will be and what you maybe kind of realistically hope it might be. Because I'm going to assume that your your realistic hope and your ideal hope are probably different, unless you're a total sadist. I don't know.
That's true. Well, thanks for tipping us off on where you think the industry's heading. Um, I'll let Mike go first.
Oh,
I
I
feel
was gonna
like Mike
actually.
gets.
I'm deferring to you, Logan, because you have a job. So, which is probably a bit of a spoiler as to where I might be headed with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I have a job in radio. um,
well, it's you're
yeah,
right. I mean, it's yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's it feels like a race to the bottom. The AI point is a very good one, Ben, because I think ultimately where the industry is headed is like a lot of things in the world right now, where the middle is evaporating.
Yep.
I think the Boston Globes, the New York Times, bigger publications like that will continue to exist for the foreseeable future, generally as we know them now. With obvious, room for there to be changes. But I think that the like I guess what we would call like a good age of Nesson.com, where it was like you had actually some pretty decent insight and analysis and things like that. But if you were also there for, to use your term, Mike, snackable content, Danica Patrick poolside Instagrams, then you could get that. It was kind of a one stop shop for all those things. I think those types of outlets in the middle, the quality is just going to plummet. And so they'll all become one and the same. I mean, you look what happened to Sports Illustrated, and it's like I actively go out of my way to avoid Sports Illustrated links because you usually can tell from the headline whether it's from Sports Illustrated, the magazine, or Sports Illustrated blogs. But you know, it's just going to get oversaturated. Everything's going to be the same. That's what's going to lend itself to the AI takeover on things like that. But at the end of the day, I still think that there are enough people outside of the industry who see the value in it, who see, the importance of investing it. It's just a matter of not letting a bunch of hedge funds buy up all of them between now and, I don't know, the end of the current administration, probably.
I don't have a ton of disagreement. I guess on the AI point, my only hope is that whoever's doing stuff with AI has more important, you know, tasks and priorities that they need to get to first with the AI, and we keep kicking that can down the road as it comes to sports writing and sports content. That being said, like yeah, Ben, you and I have talked about it. Like some of the stuff that we do on the side, it's you read some of the writing and you try to fix it or help or coach or whatever you want to do. It's like you should be doing everything you can. I think the people are going to have the most success are obviously the ones that can write in a way that separates itself from whatever AI writing is. And the problem with that too is AI writing is only going to get better. I think, and I've heard other people say this, so this is not a totally original point. I think if you want to have success in writing moving forward, I agree with Logan. I think there's going to be still those top shelf publications. I think you're gonna probably have to do it on something like Substack, and you're gonna have to do it in a way that like appeals to people. And it's gonna have to be writing about experiences or insights. You have your feelings. Like you have to elicit that sort of emotion out of people. Otherwise, you can get that somewhere else, and it needs to be like this, almost like you know pastime that people have. And I know calling reading pastime is no, that's it's always been that, but like it's just gonna have to be so specialized and so I like people with niches are gonna probably continue to excel because I can go find the best writer. It's easier for me to find the best writer about golf course architecture than it is to like get the latest Red Sox news at this point in some ways. Like, because everything with like Red Sox news is almost misleading. I would also point to my own career, not to be too self indulgent, but like I started at NESN.com in 2010. Our Patriots beat writer at that time was Jeff Howe. He's now a national insider for The Athletic. When he left, Doug Kide came in. Doug is now the Patriots beat writer for the Boston Herald and is on the fast track to an insider job nationally if he wants it too. I learned the ropes from Mike Hurley, who turned into one of the bigger, young at least sports media personalities in the city. We were doing that stuff, and I ended up losing my job because the company wanted to turn over the editorial operations to, that down on the food chain, whatever you want to call it. So like that's I've seen that over 15 years. It's slowly pushed toward that, and it's going to probably keep going till to AI. Like I think it's a real world example right in front of you that like this is what happens over the course of 15 to 20 years in media, and I think it's only going to continue to accelerate, which is the scary part. Like I want to say that there's going to be space for writing. I don't think it's a crazy take to say that that space is going to be like appallingly small. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's who do you know that reads on a consistent basis? I know I'm kind of contradicting what I just said, but like it's going to get smaller and smaller.
Under the age of 60 at least.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, AI is it's coming, right? Like it's going to be part of the world. Yeah, it's here. It's because of that. I think one of the things is outlets would be well advised to figure out how to use it appropriately, in the sense that, like, I think we would all agree that the traditional game story is pretty dated. It's just something to throw up on the site, and legacy media outlets do it because they've done it forever. That is something where if you turn that over to AI, it can probably competently do it. You still need an editor. But then it's like, what do you do with the freed up resources? Like you can offer much better, insightful journalism, analysis, things like that, if you're letting the more grunt work be done by those things. And then like there's a level of creativity that AI just can't attain, or a level of analysis that it can't do. So it's like, companies are going to have to find the blend, because it can't be 100%, AI, but we also know that no place now is going to let it be 100% human.
I would just caution that like that's not a surefire way either, though, because I felt like I was starting to do that with my own job, and I ended up, you know what I mean? Like you're looking for ways to add value outside of just writing 400-word stories, and you need to be able to find a way to fit that into what everybody else is doing within a company, not just you're like, well, I can do a couple different things. Sorry, Ben.
So I mean, they're I think as far as the asset out reallocation, I don't think it happens. So like there's an app that we use to score my daughter's softball games, and afterwards it creates a game story. Like it even has a lead. So like it reads like a bad game story. But it's one of the things. It's like, well, it's not like they didn't use that AI content creation to have other content. They just did it in lieu of actual content creation. I think another real good example is Duolingo. Duolingo, like they created a lot of their lesson building. They put it through AI, and they didn't reallocate their resources. They just laid off their entire staff. So it's a little concerning. I think that when it comes to AI, what really worries me is I feel like if the AI content creation had come around in say like 2000 or 2003 or something like that, I wouldn't be as concerned, because what's happened in the last 20 years has been a huge erosion in reading comprehension.
Yep.
And people at this point, like, they don't know how to detect not only like good writing from bad writing, but like truth from fake, and I think that that's why like the AI content comes around at like the absolute worst time, because so many people have been conditioned to not be able to tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. And I was like, so like, this isn't AI, but like I was literally like floored. That so like Josh Kraft has an ad, a mayoral ad. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where he comes on. It's like him in his living room or whatever, and he says that, listen, the only reason Michelle Wu is running for mayor is that she wants to build a soccer stadium in Boston. I'm the person who's trying to stand up for the people of Boston, and all she wants to do is build a soccer stadium. And I'm like, what? Like, that's exactly the opposite. Like that's like where we're at. We're like it's what?
Yeah.
But like we're at this point where like in politics, in sports, in everything, like you can literally just sit there and lie, and now someone will be like, well, I don't know, this guy said it, so it has to be true. And eventually there's not even going to be, you're not even going to need a guy. Like, it's just going to be an AI produced thing, and people are like, well, it says it right there, so I guess that's the case.
Yeah. Cable news also set the course for that, because people don't know how to discern. I say generally, but a lot of people don't know how to discern commentary from actual news reporting. And so when you're trying to fill 24 hours of programming every day and there's plenty of commentary, then you're going to run into an issue. Uh, you know, people can't really tell what's someone's opinion versus what's actually happening.
Yeah. Jeez. My only hope is like there's some sort of revolution at some point, and people of our age and younger fight back, and like, journalism or reading, if you want to go even smaller, has its moment, and you know what I mean? Because I think that's the only thing that saves it. Because to Ben's point, it's at this point AI or whatever you want to call, fake news, if you want to call it that proliferation is just, that is like gasoline on the fire. That is the deterioration of reading comprehension, right? And that's an accelerant in that process, and it's only making it worse. And like, I firmly believe in that thing of like tech, where it expands however many fold, and the rate at which technology improves, if you want to call it that, or evolves, is massive compared to what it was even 5 years ago. So like, that's not good. That's going to be a problem. I don't know how that, that's like the frustrating thing about media too, is like, I know that, that there's a handful of people who would read that content who know that, but there's far more many people, the louder people, the people making decisions sometimes, that don't either realize that or don't care, because the path of least resistance financially or whatever it is far more enticing, and that's how we get in this problem too. It's not good.
So
what, I don't know.
Yeah,
Ben,
so-
you teach a college course, or you teach college kids. What do you like? You feels like that's kind of, you're a lame duck in that regards.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a huge reliance on AI from college students. There was like actually a graph that I saw of usage of ChatGPT, and like the usage of ChatGPT tanks like at the end of May. It's like, oh, it's basically college students are just using ChatGPT to get them through their whatever.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And that's what I think. It's like, and it's more than just like the reading and the writing. It to me, it's like the sacrificing the ability to kind of like originate and organize your thoughts, because that's all writing is at the end of the day, right? It's like, it's organized thoughts put down in a hard copy, or if it's on a screen, I guess it's technically not hard copy. But I think that is the bigger thing, and that's why I say like the loss of the reading comprehension, I think, is even bigger, because like, even if you're using AI for all your writing, ideally you still need reading comprehension to read what AI is producing and to decide if it's also what you want to say. But if you're not even doing that, and you're either not trying to, or you don't have the capacity to do that because you're not trained to do it. It's just a kind of a further kind of fall down the hole. So that's why, like, what I see ultimately as like the future of sports writing is I see there's going to be a serious loss, maybe even a total absence of independent writing, because the only places that are going to be able to hire actual people to write are places like MLB.com or NFL.com or
Stakeholders.
Amazon,
Well, that's
Amazon
only getting worse
News. That
after
yeah,
the ESPN deal
yeah,
accentuates that.
right.
Yeah.
It's the outlets that have like either are owned or have a vested interest in the success of a thing. I think like entertainment is a big piece of that. Because anything besides that, they're just not going to be the bankrolling to be able to sustain it. And then anything below that, I think it's just going to be AI produced.
Yeah, yeah. AI, it is kind of like just think of the college stuff. It as an example, like it does kind of feel like similar to the steroid era in baseball, where it's like everybody else is doing it, and if you want to stay with the pack, everybody else is doing it, you're gonna do it, and like if you don't do it or you don't do it in a responsible way, like you can't just go tell everybody that you did it clean because nobody
Mm-hmm.
gives a shit. It's like, yeah, man, we already made all of our money, we already got all of our honors. Like whatever, I don't care. That's for me and my maker to decide. Like you missed the wave, homie. Like there is that too. That puts people, especially young people, in like a really tough position to make a sound decision.
I, my one kind of like glimmer of hope maybe is that there are some places like the town that I live in where there is like a single journalist who runs a news website, and if you look at like the comments and the reactions to those articles, like people are getting into it in the comment section, which I think is like a good sign. It shows that like people do care and they do want news about their communities. And people are paying $4.99 a month for Nextdoor, and people are paying to subscription services for Ring cameras, because they want to have want to feel safe in their homes. And so maybe there's a chance for that people appreciate that and realize, okay, maybe instead of doing giving this $6 to a whatever service, like it's something that I can subscribe to a local thing and get stuff that I really care about. Maybe.
I think one thing, Chuck Todd's doing this. I think he started a thing where it's like they've basically they get you in the door with like high school sports news, and then it kind of exposes you to more of like their general news stuff. I could be completely wrong on that, but like finding those types of things that are not gonna people are always gonna be interested if they can see their kid's name in the paper or whatever. You know what I mean? So like finding a way to change the barrier of entry and get people to pay for your work in that way is super interesting. And like even you want to talk about like Ring doorbells, like package it with that, the you know being finding creative ways to package written content as part of something bigger, I think is maybe the the most likely way to sustain it in some way. So I could be wrong.
I feel like we'll see a lot more like nonprofit newsrooms, things like that.
Yeah. But like what
The
is that
resurgence of things like Patch. Um,
with a very clearly defined ceiling, right? Like it's just
oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's obviously going to be very limited, but
Yeah, I just think that there's got you mentioned who reads, so I read, not to brag, but like one thing that I do think about when I'm reading like biographies or like historical books about people or events is like how much history there is that I don't know where someone 100 years from now is gonna get the history of this era, because like I'm reading this biography of this one like famous person, and like they did a interview with like a little like tiny Iowa local weekly newspaper when they were like 14 years old, like not even a famous person yet, and like the person like did this, like it's the quotes from it are like super insightful. Like they basically like predicted everything about that would end up happening in this person, and I was like, this is crazy. Like that you could, first of all, that someone did this at that time and was able, but like also that this researcher could go back to 1921 and find an article like that that's like a full, and it's, I was just like, if you were trying to do that on, I don't know, like somebody nowadays, like where do you go for that? Like you can't go, like it's probably either like E-News where it was just like, you know, somebody who's reacting to a TikTok video, or it's something that was like staged by their promoter that, you know, so it's I like we got to have something otherwise like history, like there's literally going to be no history of our current time.
Yeah. Well, I thought your digital footprint lived forever, so we'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ben, I wouldn't worry too much about like the, you know, you'll be dead. Like, I guess there is always that, right? Like, well, not my problem in 40 years if
The
people have
asteroid
to figure
will
out.
wipe, they'll take care of that. Yeah.
But at that point, we'll be living to like 140, and you just have to, you know, be miserable for 60 years of it.